Greetings, Culturians, and I bet you noticed something that I did. Not only has Disney destroyed Star Wars, but they've done it in spectacular fashion. We have yet to see a season 2 from any of these shows, barring Ahsoka, which is rumored not to be featuring quite so much Ahsoka, which makes a lot of sense since she doesn't seem to be as popular as the Filoni baloney would like for us to believe. But with all that being said, you probably want some evidence, so I've got it, and here we go. Disney most certainly did destroy Star Wars with slop. Lots of it. The Acolyte no-shows completely on Disney Minus in 2026, proving why there's no Season 2. But it wasn't alone, and it wasn't just because of, well, this beautiful, darling picture of presence, talent, and understanding. In fact, another quiet round of The Acolyte is going round and round where they try to bring everybody into the fold to get this show back up and running. I don't think anybody wants it, and that includes you and me. And the story around Cosmic Book News is that in a post Friday at the Wonder Man cancellation, Luminate published the 10 most streamed Disney Minus original series in the US for the first half of 2026. This is going to be good. What do you think? Star Wars has 4 entries. Maul, the Shadow Lord, which was featured actually at the D23 event, 1.1 billion minutes. Andor, 918.1 million minutes. The Book of Boba Fett at 357.9 million minutes. And then the animated The Bad Batch, 268.1 million. Notice how those really start to tail off there, and really the only top 2 were the ones that we could consider were positive spins for 2026. The Acolyte was not among them. And so were many other things not among them, and we'll get to those in just a moment. But the Disney series spent a reported $180 million on this particular show and streamed fewer than 268 million across 6 months in the U.S., less than the animated show that ended in 2024. We are now 2 years separated from it. The Book of Boba Fett, which has an Hasbro issue, which Matt was told at Comic-Con they were really disappointed in over there. Boba Fett is the fair comparison. It runs on 7 episodes, and The Acolyte runs on 8. It's the same shelf and the same length, and Boba Fett did more than 357 million minutes. But guess what? The Acolyte was a no-show. So if somebody's telling you this was a popular show, well, they lied. In fact, we knew it at the time. The show was having a massive audience problem, just like many of the other shows that Disney has produced over time. In fact, I would say that there are many other folks that are going to be surprised by the next headline because they want so much to believe that this was a good show. And it wasn't. Obi-Wan Kenobi is also a no-show on Disney Minus in 2026 as Ewan McGregor begs for more. And when I say he begs for more, he certainly has. There are multiple stories written about the fact that he just wants to do something and get paid for it. And that makes him a well and true professional actor. Everybody wants to be paid. But he said last week, I'm ready whenever they are. They just seem to not be ready. I don't know why. I know why. The show was terrible. Luminate's new Disney Minus data offers the reasoning here. And Obi-Wan Kenobi is not among the 10 most streamed Disney Minus original series in the U.S. for the first half of 2026. Again, this chart was published by Luminate on Friday. You can go and check it out for yourself. The Acolyte missed the call. Obi-Wan missed the call. So did Skeleton Crew and the over-touted and overly praised Ahsoka, which is going to Ahsoka no interest and get Ahsoka'd in tears by the Ahsoka fans and Dave Filoni baloney. Anyway, the bottom of that list is Bad Batch at 268.1 million minutes. As far as the top 10 goes, then the Book of Boba Fett, which we just talked about a minute ago. 6 episodes of McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Hayden Christensen back as Darth Vader, and the most hyped Star Wars series Disney Minus ever launched could not beat any of them over the first 6 months of the year. Now, that does not portend too well. I just would like to point out that we have a really big show coming in the form of Ahsoka, which I will say quite probably dangerously to myself that nobody wants. Well, at least I don't want it. Ahsoka Season 2 is going to lean heavily on Hayden Christensen's Anakin because nobody is rewatching Season 1. Are you surprised? I don't think anybody is. And I would have to say that you would have to have missed the fact that nobody really talked about this much after each episode aired. I couldn't get any interest or traction on any of the episodes that I talked about, and I don't think any reviews did particularly well unless you happen to be a huge content creator and people were going to watch your reviews for the lulls. I just wish I was more lully. But Ahsoka Season 2 got a premiere date at D23 last week when I was there. It's going to be out on January 20th of 2027, meaning it's starting the year in a very bad spot. Disney Minus isn't really known to carry television series, and we'll talk about that in a future video I have come later this week about National Treasure and just how much nobody treasured the show version of that for all its DEI diversity and other political garbage that was inserted. Instead, it looks like we're getting a proper film. Again, we'll get that story later in the week. But with the costumes that promise a live-action Clone Wars flashback, I have a feeling that's something more people would be interested in, except for me. I really didn't enjoy a lot of the animation stuff because I don't think the animation boy, Dave Filoni, is very good at his job. But hey, those are my opinions. They don't have to be yours. Now, Luminate's new Disney Minus data explains why Anakin is going to be the center rather than Ahsoka. Because nobody cares. And again, it all comes down to just, a few minutes one way or another. I mean, as I said before, you had no Ahsoka in there, you had no Acolyte in there, and you had no Obi-Wan Kenobi in there. Skeleton Crew wasn't anywhere close, and there are other things Star Wars related that couldn't find the charts in the first 6 months, despite being available to anybody at any time that went looking for it. Star Wars is well and truly dead, and Disney certainly murdered it. And their co-conspirator was Dana Walden and all of Disney Minus. But that's an opinion. Now, the baseline for Season 2 is very low because nothing did well. The 6 months before its premiere date was announced, fewer people had rewatched Ahsoka than rewatched the Book of Boba Fett. That's not terribly redeeming, is it? Worse yet, in Season 1, it charted every week, and then everybody forgot about it. It didn't have a lot of competition. In fact, it premiered in August of 2023 to 829 million minutes on Nielsen, second only one to bland Obi-Wan Kenobi among Star Wars series at the time. It stayed in Nielsen's original top 10 every week on its run through a 575 million minute finale, but that just really wasn't selling it to the fans or to anybody long term, obviously, because they don't want to go back and watch it. It's like homework for real Star Wars, and I'm going to tell you right now, fans are tired of homework for Star Wars and Marvel and pretty much anything else. It had a steady audience. I mean, that's one thing going for it. The weekly audience of Mandalorian Season 3 was much higher, but it was steady nonetheless. And according to the story, steady did not turn into rewatch value, which is, well, again, the bigger part of the problem. Most of the TV Star Wars, and Marvel for that matter, are not something that people go back to look at. 3 years later, the series that ended with Thrawn loose in the main galaxy, Ezra home, and Ahsoka stranded on Paradia, with Anakin's Force Ghost watching over her, can't get 268 million minutes in 6 months. It is a cliffhanger nobody is going back to check on because, I'm going to keep saying it, nobody's interested. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're one of the few people out there that are interested in going back and watching these Disney-minded shows over and over again. You see, I think that maybe Just maybe there's only one show anybody was truly interested in, which is why we got a Mandalorian and Grey Goose film. It was The Mandalorian. In fact, The Mandalorian did $2.4 billion with 0 new episodes. Andor, $918 million a year after it ended. And let me tell you, that was some depressing stuff to watch, also full of messaging and other garbage. But hey, I guess some of the Star Wars people can ignore the blatantly obvious. But the Mandalorian story, with the villain being directly related to a cartoon character, may have kind of undercut the message. At least that's my opinion. And that's why the season's going to rely heavily on Anakin. Lucasfilm actually chose to show what they did at D23 because they had to. It's not Thrawn's War, it's not Sabine and Ezra, and it wasn't a lot of things that got anybody excited. Believe me, I stood outside that booth for a long period of time, and I took some pictures of black matte mannequins that really just kind of were wearing the clothes of the characters that not a lot of people could identify. It also showed in detail the winter costumes that were worn by Padawan Ahsoka, pointing at a flesh and blood Clone Wars flashback with Christensen's return confirmed back in Celebration Japan and further confirmed by his physical presence at the silly thing at D23. Look, all of this is whatever it is. Nobody's really interested in Star Wars, and nobody's specifically interested in Disney Star Wars. They would love to get back to where they sold toys. That's especially true for somebody like Hasbro. But you're looking at the 50th anniversary. That's going to be coming up here. And the January 20th live-action Clone Wars flashback is right at the front of that anniversary year. And yet, there's no real Star Wars on the horizon. That doesn't bode well, at least not in my opinion. So the last show of the old era, as they laid out in the article previously, Ahsoka Season 2 is the only live-action series on Lucasfilm's books. They have a film coming. It's Starfighter, and it might be good because of Ryan Gosling. Not because of anything else, and certainly not because of the story, which Dave Filoni has proven he doesn't know how to write, control, or showrun. Season 2 carries 2 jobs for the Ahsoka franchise, and that's the Thrawn story that Filoni has been telling since Rebels, and prove that there's still something of an audience there at Disney minus, at least for live-action Star Wars. After Skeleton Crew, The Acolyte, and after the review of the Luminate numbers, I would say the evidence is in, and nobody cares, but that's my opinion. What's yours? Let me know your thoughts. Is Star Wars still alive? Is the heart still beating? Is there still some kind of thready pulse there? Is there respiration or desperation from Disney? I'm going to let you decide that one, so let me know down in the comments section below. As always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya. Just probably not watching any Disney minus stuff ever again.